Welcome to Star Cares, a weekly program that delves into the issues that impact you and your family. This program is a public affairs feature of this radio station. Now here's your host, Michael Leach.
In a society that may emphasize the pursuit of romantic relationships as seen on TV or in books, my guest today, author Heather Marie Edmond, challenges those who are single to celebrate the beauty of their singleness because she says it's okay to be single. Heather, welcome to Star Cares.
Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely. So Heather, you've written a resource entitled Being Single is Okay. What motivated you to write that resource?
What motivated me was that I believe a lot of people was worried about what society was saying about their life and what they should be doing by a certain age to be either successful or happy. So I believe that each of us have our own pathway in life that we should be traveling along, and each of us are different. So we shouldn't be doing what people say. We should be doing what we are purposed to be done. Or we should be living life our way, and I believe living life your way is where you'll find your ultimate full satisfaction. I want to kind of break down some stigmas as well about singleness and see that there is a benefit in being single, just like there's a benefit in every season of our lives.
Let's talk about some of those benefits, right? Because you say singleness, it's not a failure, it's an opportunity. What are some of the benefits? What are some of the opportunities that you believe come along with being single?
Well, since you have a lot of time for yourself, it's an opportunity to find your own identity. It's an opportunity to find your own purpose in life. It's also an opportunity to know the type of relationships that you should have. So there are some relationships that are beneficial to you, and there are some relationships that are damaging to you, especially when it comes to fulfilling or finding your calling in life. So I believe when you have that time alone, you have time to kind of see from other people's perspective, like look at other people's lives and take the good out of it and learn the bads. And also it's a great time to learn life lessons. I think the ultimate answer, though, is you have full time to spend with your designer. Here's a time where you can spend time with God, and he could instill things into your life. He could tell you what you should be doing, build that relationship. So once you have a strong relationship with God, I believe that's the catalyst to having greater relationships in every other area of your life.
You say, yeah, you're God's masterpiece, really, no matter what the status. And we should never change our minds, right? Or change ourselves and who we authentically are for other people's approval. Talk more about that.
For sure. Because if we don't walk the path that we are most happy, I think that you'll miss out on so much, right? And there's a lot of people that are trying to figure out what they should be doing in life. For example, for myself, I was always searching, trying to discover what I was here to do. I was always happy. I was always dabbling into different things, trying to figure out which direction to go in life. And maybe not everybody has a start where they can learn early on in years what it is they're supposed to be doing. Some of us take a lot longer, right? So being able to just know what you should be doing is going to prevent you from following somebody else and being like a carbon copy of someone else. Definitely, we should be influenced by other people. We could be motivated by other people, but we shouldn't be copying other people. We should be doing our own things. And I believe that will lessen the dissatisfaction when you look at your own life and your own accomplishment.
Absolutely. Talk more then about how these relationships, other relationships, really do play a pivotal role in fulfilling your life's purpose, which I believe you said really can be established as you spend time with God, right? So now you spent time with God, you're navigating and trying to see what it is for your purpose. And then there's these people that are in your life. Sure. Talk about how they make a difference.
I believe the first thing is when you establish a relationship with God, you know what a healthy relationship looks like. There are people in your life, if you're not careful, they can stop your purpose, right? Because the people in your life, they either should help elevate you, or there's some people in your life that actually could sabotage you. They can actually hurt you more than help you. And I believe that the wrong relationship can downgrade you, especially when they cannot see your worth or your value. So it's important that we assess the relationships that we're in. Look for certain things. I call it like the subtle killers. Look for people who maybe are jealous, people who are insecure, people who are controlling or selfish. These are the things you want to stay away from. But we must actually find healthy relationships. These are people who's going to be the motivation. So the right person can make someone who feels like they can't do anything, make them feel like they can do anything in life, right? So the right relationship, I believe, is the foundation when it comes to growth and actually somebody propelling you and helping you move forward in life.
Talk to a person who is single, pressing their way, and they perhaps enjoy portions of their singleness, but there are times when they're just uneasy and they begin to fear, right? Just being alone in life, thinking about various things where people have partnership to make life a little bit easier. Speak to someone who's just fearful right now.
Yes, and that's understandable. That's valid, because when we look at society, we see everybody with someone. Society tells us by a certain age we should be married. By a certain age you should have kids. So that's totally understandable, but we cannot allow ourselves to be trapped into societal standards. So because your calling or your purpose is different, so we kind of keep that in mind and to understand that there's seasons for everything. You not being married today doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be married tomorrow. Maybe God is preparing you to meet the person that you want to be with. Because sometimes the people or the person we want to be with, we're not at that point yet. So God is preparing you to be the kind of person that the person you want will actually want to be with, right? So there's things, for example, we may have to change our characters, build ourselves up, build our confidence, right? So depending on who you are, there's things that need to happen before you can be ready to actually meet the ideal person. You want people to meet your best selves. And I believe when you're in the moment of singleness, you can prepare yourself to be the best version of yourself and allow people to meet that person.
Absolutely. And people talk sometimes about how people who are already married put so much pressure on single people. Like, when are you getting married? You have a significant other yet? Like, what's happening? Oh my goodness, your clock is ticking. Don't you want to have kids? So there's peer pressure, though, that does not come from those of us who are married. But talk about the peer pressure or just the pressure people put on themselves when they're single. Help us there.
Yes. See, time pass you by as a reason to get into a relationship is very dangerous, because you can cause yourself to settle or to be with individuals that you wish you never were with. That can cause regret. I would say that if you listen closely to certain people, the disappointment in their voice, they always speak about what they wish they had, never what they have. Somewhere, somehow, they have allowed time to influence your decisions. But you go back to Romans chapter 12, verse 12, verse 2 says, never conform to the patterns of the world, right? So although time or age can influence you to do something to satisfy the status quo, you should always remember that your seasons, your pathway, your direction in life is different than this person. And you could miss out on a lot of things as far as finding out who you are, as far as the person you can become, if you allow yourself to rush into things, especially relationships, too early. There's a purpose for being single, and I believe the goal is to find out what that purpose is for you, and don't leave it too early.
And then, Heather, there may be people who decide they want to be single. They love being single. They have no intention of coupling up, and they are enjoying their lives. Let's encourage them too, right? Because society puts so much pressure on people to be together in certain kinds of relationships. But some people are like flying high. They're loving their lives just the way that they are. Let's encourage them too. What would you say?
Absolutely. Paul said he didn't get married because Paul found that him being single allowed him to dedicate 100% on himself, and he was able to become a pioneer and do amazing things as we read in the Bible. So absolutely, there is nothing wrong with being single. If that is your choice and you see value in that, why not? I don't believe that everybody's meant to be married, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody's not meant to be single. So the thing is, do what you feel and you believe this is what you should be doing. Because if this makes you happy for the moment or even for the long term, I don't believe there's anything wrong with it. Because again, there's value in being single, and there's so much you could accomplish. You could become the next entrepreneur. You could go back to school. There's so much things you can do because you have the free time to do so. Your time is not divided, right? It's 100% dedicated to yourself to do all the great things that you aspire to do, that you imagine yourself doing. And I believe there's nothing wrong being single, even if it's for the long term.
That's right. And like you said, the Apostle Paul in the Word encourages people that way. And look at the great exploits that he did in the name of the Lord. And so you say, be careful what you say, because your destiny is in your mouth. What do you mean by that?
I believe that's powerful. You cannot live a life different than how you think, right? If you think it, because words have power, if you think it, that is the direction that you're going to go in life. So I believe if you change the words, if you change what you say about yourself, instead speak things that you want instead of speaking things that you don't want, I believe you're going to start to see a difference. Because there's something that happens with your mind when words are spoken constantly out there out loud. There's something that registers in your mindset and your subconscious that allows you to say, okay, this is who I am. This is where I want to be. I believe if a lot of us are stuck in situations and circumstances that we're in because our thought process, our mindset hasn't changed. You cannot be great if you don't think great, right? So your way of thinking influences your way of acting and your way of behaving. So I believe it's kind of like affirmation, right? Whatever you speak out loud, whatever you say out loud, that is the direction that you're going to go in life. That's the thinking that you're going to continue to believe in, and I believe it's going to change the trajectory of your life.
Speak to someone now who is dealing with rejection. They really are doing the things that you talk about, really trying to, tap into God so that they can more firmly establish their faith. They're avoiding the subtle killers and those relationships that are toxic. And they just, they're putting themselves in the position, right? Using the time to get themselves relationship ready. And they just have so much rejection. How can we help them?
Well, you may be rejected by people, but you'll never be rejected by God. Right. I come from a home where I was rejected in a sense as well. People didn't believe in me. And it took the Lord to allow me to see who I am in him and through him. And to say, even though people cannot see you, he sees you. He sees your value. And it's important for us to connect with God so we can allow him to show you who you truly are. And I believe once you know who you truly are, your identity, that's going to change the way you feel about yourself. And then even though, again, other people may not see your worth, you're going to walk with your head up and say, you know what, you may not see my worth, but God sees my worth. And I think that's the most powerful thing to stand on. It's to be confirmed or settled in the fact that God sees me as somebody worthwhile. He doesn't see me as a reject, or he doesn't abandon me. He sees me as something and someone that could be very impactful while I'm here on earth. Absolutely. Everybody's start in life is different. But even though your start in life wasn't ideal or the way you would have loved it to be, your end in life can be different. You can definitely have a different ending than how your life story started.
Heather, how can we learn more about what we've talked about today? Where can we get a copy of your resource?
You can head out to my website, which is www.heatheredmond.com, heatheredmond.com. There you will see different ways that you can learn more about the book as well as purchase it as well.
So that website again is heatheredmond.com. Spell your last name for us.
Yes, it's EDMUND. EDMUND.
heatheredmond.com. Heather, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Michael. It was my pleasure. Thank you again.
And thank you for listening. Won't you join me again for another edition of Star Cares? I'm Michael Leach, and I am praying that the rest of your day is wonderful.